Hey y'all, I wanted to take some time to get the lecture to y'all. Life has been kind of chaotic. So if I'm having trouble finding my words, please forgive me. So anyway, we are going to go through Monroe's motivated sequence. I either need for you to take notes or make sure that you can get back to this video time and time again, because I want to tell you, this is the speech that kills students because they are either A, too lazy to do what they are supposed to, or B, they don't understand and don't ask good questions. So I need for you to be a class that hits every single one of these sequence pieces. So let's go ahead and get started. Monroe's motivated sequence basically, am I in the way? I'm probably in the way. Oh, well, it's okay. It is the task that you follow, the steps that you follow to make a persuasive argument. Way back, a long time ago, in the days of Aristotle, before Christ even, he was the very first person that came up with the art of persuasion. He studied people, the way that their minds worked, the way that they made decisions, and he came up with the three canons of speech, which we've talked about, and I'm also going to go back over with you. And then from there, Dr. Monroe took this and he tweaked it. So that's where we are at right now. So it's all about persuasion. Persuasion is just influencing other people. Most people get persuasion and argumentation turned around. You can win an argument very, very easily, because all you have to do to win an argument is get the other person to be able to see things from your point of view. If they can see things from your point of view, almost empathizing with you, you've won the argument. But it doesn't mean that you've persuaded them to give you what you want, or to change their beliefs, or to make them take some kind of action. You can talk to your parents all you want about extending your curfew or letting you go somewhere that they normally don't go. And you could give them all the arguments, all of the facts, all of the positives in the world. I've gotten good grades. I've helped out around the house. I've met responsibilities. I have been kind, polite, and respectful. And they can say, you know what, Sally, you have done all of those things, and we are really, really proud of you. And I completely see how you thinking that those things should be a catalyst for you getting to extend your curfew by 2 hours. I think I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's reasonable. But you've won the argument. But when they say, I'm sorry, we're still not going to let you do that for your own good or for your safety or whatever, you've won the argument, but you have not persuaded them. Persuasion is getting someone to move, to act, to change. Okay? And there's two kinds of persuasion. There's coercive and coactive. Coercive persuasion is trying to get somebody to do something by threatening them. Tell me, like the mob, you see it on a lot of crime shows, that kind of thing. Tell me who gave you the secret, blah, 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 or I'm going to rip your toenails off one by one, type of thing, if you're watching Ozark. Okay, the example that I have is, tell me who told you my secret, or you'll be sipping your next meal through a straw. That's coercive persuasion, getting what you want through means of a threat. Okay, so instead, we're going to be using coercive persuasion. I'm not going to show this YouTube video. If you guys want to go back and copy and paste it and watch it, then you can. Coactive persuasion, though, is trying to relate your ideas with the other person's in order to get what you want. You were right when you said that the pizza at the deli was great. Let's go grab a slice, huh? Sure, I'd love to go grab a slice. Okay, well, hey, I'm a little bit short on cash. So if you pay for the pizza, I'll let you go ahead and borrow my car on Saturday night. It's almost like a cooperation type of thing, okay? Trying to show how your ideas relate to somebody else's ideas. That's coactive persuasion, and that's what we're going to be doing. the next step, as far as persuasion is concerned, is this psychological term called cognitive dissonance. The easiest way to explain cognitive dissonance is when you are getting ready to make a decision that goes against your morals, and your beliefs, what you think really is the right thing to do. That feeling that you get that's uncomfortable right before you go ahead and do the thing that you know you're not supposed to do, that's cognitive dissonance. And a person has to feel that in order to be persuaded. I am not, let's say, real examples. I wasn't a drinker when I was in high school. My dad was a football coach. I knew he'd find out about it. And he was a teacher there. I didn't want to take the chance. And plus, my parents had talked a lot about morals and ethics and the kind of person that I wanted to be. And that wasn't the kind of person that I wanted to be. So I didn't drink in high school. My senior year came along and I was hanging out with an, I don't want to say an unsavory crowd. But I was friends with everybody in high school. My high school was small, probably about the size of Jeff West. And I was friends with everybody. It didn't matter what the kind of people that you hung out with, your clique, so to speak. I didn't have one of those. I liked everybody. I had friends that were closer than others, but I went out with this group one night. Some of them were my good friends. Some of them were my friends, right? And they knew that I wasn't a big drinker, but a lot of peer pressure was happening at that point in time. And I went ahead and did. And I felt really, really bad about it the next day in more ways than one. But that feeling, that push and pull feeling that I was getting, like, that isn't what I'm about, but I really kind of want to, but that I don't want to disappoint people, but I really want to. That's cognitive dissonance. And that's important for a person to feel, to push them over the edge, so to speak, when we're talking about persuasion. So it's when we do something that's not in line with our beliefs and we go ahead and change our beliefs, okay? When there's a mismatch between our beliefs and our behavior, we experience cognitive dissonance and we have a strong motivational drive. We want that to go away. We want it to go away. So if you can get your audience to feel that, you're going to be more likely to persuade them. So cognitive dissonance, you need to make them feel a little bit uncomfortable, okay, to change their beliefs. Just looking at the dogs running around outside. So let's see. Here are some examples. Let's take a look at these. When people smoke, that's the behavior, and they know that smoking causes cancer, that's your cognition, your brain, they are in a state of cognitive dissonance because they do it anyway. When the fox fails to reach the grapes, he decides that they were, in retrospect, he doesn't want them after all because they weren't ripe, making an excuse. Oh, I didn't want that anyway, okay? A job candidate caught between choosing a well-paying job in a far-off city away from family and friends or a less-paying job in their own city, still close to their family, still close to their friends in proximity. That's dissonance, okay? So it's those uncomfortable feelings that you get, and that's important when we're talking about persuasion. I have to show you this. Wait a minute. We just got back from a long walk. All right. So dissonance and persuasion. Why should we put our audience in such an uncomfortable situation? You shouldn't care. You should not care when you're trying to persuade somebody. Take a look at politicians. Do you think they care about how they're making their audiences feel, putting them in an uncomfortable position? You want that to happen. You want to show that you have their best interests at heart, okay? And so you persuade them to jump off the cliff, to take that action because it's going to be better for them. And the better for them is your arguments. Those are your facts. So you've got to have really good evidence, okay? You've got to make them feel guilty. That is key in persuasion. I know it sounds like mind games, but persuasion goes right along with psychology. Make them feel guilty of continuing with their behavior, and that dissonance feeling is going to help them take steps to do what you want them to do. And that's, you give them the solution. And once you make them feel guilty and then you give them a better solution, that dissonance goes away. Okay. It might not sound, I don't know, ethical. I don't know what you want to call it, but sometimes persuasion isn't, unless you know that you know that you know that what you're offering them is better. Okay. So that's where the ethics comes into play. So give great evidence, factual evidence, make them feel guilty, and provide a great solution. So we get into these two things that I need to hear in your persuasive speech: your end goal and your action statement. I want you to think of your end goal as a noun. It's the thing you want your audience to do. The action statement is how they're going to do it. That's the perceived action that they're going to take. Okay. So end goal, what you want your receivers to do. Do you want them to recycle, use less water, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, get out and vote, whatever it is. Okay. That's your end goal. That goes in the introduction of your speech. Okay. Although you're not going to say, my end goal today is for you all to think of adoption as a viable whatever. That's not a very good one. That doesn't really have anything to do with you guys. Let's see. My end goal for this speech is for you all to stop consuming so much plastic. You don't want to just come out and say it. It's the same thing as every other speech, guys and gals. You want to hint at that. And the things that you tell us in your introduction should be able to tell us what your end goal is going to be. And then your action statement goes in the conclusion. These are the things that you can do in order to do that. Order metal straws. Make sure that you recycle. Break down, if you have to use plastic or you're buying 6-pack Cokes in the plastics, make sure that you cut that plastic so that it doesn't strangle wildlife and get caught in their system and whatever. That's where you're going to tell them what to do. Your end goal goes at the beginning. Your action statement goes at the end. Okay? All right. So let's get into Monroe's motivated sequence, because this is actually how you are going to put your speech together. There are 5 steps. And listen to me when I tell you, every step has to be present and every step has to be in sequence, because this is the way psychologically that our brains work when we are being persuaded. So you've got your attention step, your need step, satisfaction step, visualization, and action. Attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. So let's go through them. So your attention step is going to be your introduction. It's the same thing. Wake up. Listen to me. Get the attention of your audience. There are several ways that you can do this. Startling statistics. 65% of all marriages in 2020 or 2019 end in divorce. That's pretty startling. 1 out of 3 people, take a look around you, take a look to your left, take a look to your right. That's 3 people. 1 of you is going to be touched by cancer in your lifetime, whether it's you, a loved one, or a friend. That's a startling statistic, and it gets your audience involved. Use a great story. Do a start story and an end story. Tell the beginning of the story in your introduction, and then hit us with the end of it in your conclusion. If you've got a speech or a topic that you think might have some humor, tell a joke, whatever, but don't play a movie clip. Give us pictures. It doesn't matter, okay? But something that's going to pound something home. This speech, more than any other, you have got to grab our attention. You've got to grab our attention, okay? And also, this is where you're going to state and lead into your end goal. All right, so that's your attention step. The next step is your need step. Let me hide this. Oh no, what did I do? Oh crap. There we go. All right, your need step. In your need step, this is what you're going to tell us what the problem is. Okay? What's the problem? The problem is the fact that ocean life is dying. We've got a literal trash island in the ocean. How is it affecting our health? What is the problem right now? Okay? And what is bad about what's happening right now? What is bad about the fact of what are we not doing enough? Why is that bad? Okay? What needs to be fixed? In your need step, this is where the information goes. This is where the bulk of your sources go. This is where your investigative research goes. Okay? People really like psychologically to be to talk about problems, to talk about things that are negative. I don't know why. That's how we are, most of us. But that's what you need to talk about right here. What's the problem? What is the problem? But one thing that you need to make sure here is that you do not tell us how to fix the problem, because the second you tell us how to fix the problem in the need step, you've mixed up Monroe's motivated sequence and our brain has kind of shut you down. All right? Just convince your audience here that this is a huge problem. Huge problem. But don't tell us how to fix it, because that goes in this step, the satisfaction step. Your satisfaction step is the solution to your problem. It's the solutions to your need step. Come up with your own solutions. Find an expert. The best thing is to have a combination of the two, both real expert opinions and your own opinions. Now, in the satisfaction step, the one thing that you need to do is come up with refutation if possible. So refutation is thinking about what the arguments are going on in your audience's mind so that you can tell them what the solution is before they have a chance to tell you that your argument is bogus. So let's take a look at, let's go with global warming. Okay, let's say you're giving a persuasive speech about the fact that global warming is definitely occurring, and you've talked about what the problem is. You've talked about the polar ice caps melting. You've talked about the polar bears not having any place to go, blah, 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 blah. And you are now in your satisfaction step, okay? And you're talking to us about how we can solve the problem individually as well as a nation as well as worldwide. And I'm sitting in your audience thinking to myself, doesn't this dingbat know that that is just the way of the world? That as long as the earth has been here, there have been ice ages and there have been melting times and blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking that, so you need to be refuting me before I have a chance to tell you, blah, blah, you're bogus. So as you're telling us the solution, you might say, now I know that there are probably several of you that are thinking to yourself the same thing that many people think. Isn't this just the way that the earth moves? It's the way that things have always been in time. Let me tell you the answer to that question and the problems that we are occurring because of it and what we need to do. So you're refuting my argument, all right? Refute arguments. It's important in the satisfaction step. Here's a refutation. Now, some of you may think that this is a bad idea because it may cost a lot of money, but here's how I propose to pay for this, and it won't even cost you a penny. Okay, so that's somebody refuting an argument to some persuasive satisfaction step. So then you've got your need. I'm watching the dog because he's outside. You've got your need step. Your action step, your attention. You got your attention step with your end goal. You've got your need. You're telling us what the problem is currently with the status quo. You've got your satisfaction. You're going to tell us how to solve the problem, and you're going to refute any arguments that we might be having in our minds. Your fourth step is visualization. And a lot of people think when we're talking about visualization that we're visualizing the problem. And that's not exactly the truth. You're going to tell us a story, okay, in the visualization step. It's also touted as the imagine step. So you're going to provide a story, 2 different worlds. You don't have to do any research for this. It just has to come out of your own brain. So tell us the story in the visualization step. What does the world look like pre-solution? If we stay at the status quo and we do not do anything, how's that going to look for our future? As compared to how it would look if we adopted your ideas. Okay? So that's what the visualization step is. I need to see both of those pictures. Use imagery, paint us a story and a picture for us. Pre-solution, if we don't make any changes, what does that look like for us in our future? As compared to what it looks like if we adopt your ideas and we feel that cognitive dissonance and we do what you ask us to do for the betterment of the greater good. Okay, that's the visualization step. It's kind of a silly example. If we continue on the current path, we will have world war. Cats and dogs will be sleeping together. We'll have famine, disease, people walking around with open wounds dripping with pus. But if we implement my solution, the world will be in harmony. Bunnies will roam free and frolic in the pristine meadows. So I'm just painting you a picture of what will happen if we don't do anything as compared to what it'll look like if we do. Okay, so that's your visualization step. And then your last one is your action step. And this is where you're going to tell us what to do. And you need to try to have something there, that the smallest thing for your audience to do before they leave. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to internally summarize the things that you've talked about. Today, before I conclude, I just want to remind you that we have talked about blank, blank, and blank. Okay, these are the things that I've talked about that I feel really important that you need to know. And please remember that it's important because of this. If you are doing that beginning story and then you're telling us the conclusion of it, this is where you're going to put the conclusion. And then you're going to tell us something that we can do right now. Right now. It could be so small. Here is an email and a phone number to your state representative. I encourage you to flood their emails and their offices with phone calls about this matter. Here, so you can sign my petition today. I have placed at the entranceway, at the doorway, several bins and sacks for you to take out to use for your own recycling. Please take one as you leave and help us to make the world a better, more beautiful place. Something that people can do right now, and then something that's bigger as well. That you need to have something for them to do, that they can help solve the problem right now. Okay, so that's your action step. Call your senator. You need to provide their names. Sign my petition. Make sure you go and vote. If you're not eligible to, or if you're not register to vote yet, here are some registrations. Go ahead and sign those out, and I'll even drop them in the mail for you, those types of things, okay? All right. Now, the last thing that I want to go over, and I believe that we have already done this. Okay. I thought I had a PowerPoint, but I don't. All right, so I just want to go over this with you really quickly because I'm pretty sure we've already gone over it, but I want to hit it again. Aristotle, in his Rhetorica, came up with these 3 canons of speech. They need to be all present somewhere in your persuasive argument because it is the way that you really emotionally, logically, and ethically hit us with stuff. And I need all 3 of them to be there, okay? So you need ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is your ethics. Why is it ethical to adopt whatever policy or whatever it is that you're wanting us to change? What's ethical about it? What's unethical about the behavior of other people that aren't recycling, that aren't not using plastics, that kind of thing? All right? What's not ethical about it? You need to have pathos, and this is appeal to passion. This is building that emotion for your audience. Remember when we covered this, I went over Sarah McLachlan's ASPCA commercial where it's the animals and they're feeling, they show you pictures and all that. That's a huge appeal to pathos because that gets people in their gut, right? And it makes them feel icky. So it makes them want to donate. So you need to make us feel something. You need to make us think that we are behaving unethically or your idea is ethical. And then the last one is appeal to reason or logic, and that's logos. So your plan needs to be logical. It needs to be sense to us. It makes sense to us. You need to give us good, solid reasons to listen to you. Okay, so ethics, ethos, passion, emotion, pathos, and logic or reason, logos. All three of those need to be in your speech, okay? I am going to go ahead and put the criteria up for you. I am also going to open up a forum on our Google Classroom. I'm going to make it a question. So in case any one of you have any questions over this, you can stick it in the forum or the question and everybody can see it and everybody will be able to see my answers. So we'll be learning back and forth off of one another if you have any questions, okay? So be looking for those two things. And any other instructions, be thinking about what you want to do your final persuasive speech over. The only thing that I say no to is abortion, okay? That's it. Everything else is on the table. It is what? Thursday. I need for you all to give me your topic by tomorrow. I'll give you till Sunday. How about that? Sunday at 11:59, and it's worth points, okay? So Sunday at 11:59, I need to have your topic, all right? And I will put everything, all the criteria in Google Classroom for you. Again, I'll open up a forum in case you guys have any questions, so you just let me know. I hope you guys are well. How do I get back here? There we are. And just let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to y'all later. See ya.